Welcome back to the Abundance Alchemist, your quiet space to remember who you are. Tonight we speak gently about allowing subconscious stillness to prepare the body for abundance, not as a lesson to learn, but as something your soul already carries. What if you've never truly been broken? What if your softness was always your power? What if this ache has always been an invitation? Just breathe for a moment. There's nothing to do here. Only the ancient remembering that comes with night and with rest. Sometimes we protect ourselves with noise or worry, as if the hum of thought will keep us safe. But under that, deeper than thought, there's a place in you untouched by striving, beyond effort, beyond old urgency to heal or to fix. This is where abundance first finds you, not when you chase it, but when you become still long enough to notice you were never separate from it. Let your body sink into support, deeper, softer. Let your breath trail out like a sigh nobody hears, and let your mind float here, all through your life. You have searched for answers in the world's brightness, but in the cool dark the body opens, the heart remembers. You don't need to create stillness. It has always lived in you. It waits patiently, past every urge to try. Every friction from the day, every story about worth that never fit your skin, it's safe now. Tonight, the doors to plenty are quiet, and the one holding the key is already inside. Somewhere in the soft blue dark, before the day becomes loud with names and needs, a quiet kitchen light glows. There is you, just you, reaching for the worn silver edge of a kettle. The air feels gentle, like a hand resting on the curve between shoulder and neck. Maybe it's a memory, or maybe it's happening right now, this small act that's only yours. As water hushes and settles in the kettle, the mind flickers to old stories about what matters, about what counts. There's a voice, quieter than fear, that wonders if these small rituals are enough, if gentleness could ever be a kind of richness. The world so often talks about abundance in numbers, in more, in what grows faster and louder than yesterday. But here, in the hush before the boil, another way is whispering in. Let it soften here. Maybe you remember a grandmother winding a teabag string around her finger, or the sound of rain tapping the roof when you stayed home from school. Wealth isn't always what makes the world lean in to watch. Sometimes it lives where no one is looking. Sometimes it's just the trust that you're allowed to pause long enough for the water to warm, not rushing, not dragging, just being. This is the sound of permission, blooming quietly inside you. Even if you drift, this still lands in the beginning. Old patterns tug at the edges, whispering that worth must come with effort, heat, or proof. The body remembers times you thought you had to earn everything: rest, breath, softness, the right to slow down and listen to small things. The kettle begins to sigh. Steam curls up, wordless, touching the paint on the wall. This is patience, enacted, lived rather than spoken about. You watch, you linger. Time gathers around you like a blanket, reminding you quietness is not absence, but presence without price. Let this echo: wealth can be loud, can shimmer and declare, but sometimes it is as shy as morning mist sliding across empty sidewalks. It collects in corners, in tiny acts, in the knowing that every ritual, no matter how simple, teaches you belonging. You see, there are riches only emptiness can show. The slow expanding warmth of a mug held with two hands, the way morning sunlight climbs through clean glass, painting lines across the floor. These are silent currencies, the ones that come trailing comfort, never need. You don't need to hold it. Maybe you used to rush, thinking peace was waiting just beyond the next check or calendar square. Maybe you chased the heat. missing the calm warmth that was always inside the kettle, needing only time and attention. Now, something inside you recognizes wealth arriving quietly, wearing the ordinary clothes of daily ritual. Abundance shaped like steam, drifting, never forced, never stolen, all given. Even this is part of the remembering. Some mornings begin with the softest ache, a quiet waiting under the surface, like dew that clings to grass and won't let go today. The ache is there as you walk outside with a bucket and your name on your breath. Before the rest of the world wakes up, the world, for a moment, is just you, the sky, and the slow rhythm of your own remembering. You pass by weathered wood, patchy grass, the fence that leans a little evidence of cycles, not failures. Of life still carrying you forward. Hands cold, heart softer than you thought it'd be, you kneel. Morning air settling on your back, and pour grain into shallow pans. They come, the chickens. With their bright hunger and tangled feathers. They don't know about scarcity or what the news says about the future. They only know the shape of your hand, the sound of grain falling, the memory of what fed them last time. Your life, too, has been lived this way, even if you've tried to forget. You think of all the times you woke up worried, clinging to numbers, checking balances, measuring worth against what was missing. But here, there is just the clatter of beaks and the small trust built over many, many days. Let it soften here. Some mornings, you remember a childhood ache you had no words for, the way wanting felt too big to carry, the way hope arrived quietly, almost disguised as patience. You remember how love wasn't a windfall, but something offered in handfuls, repeated, familiar. Love was breakfast. Not a banquet, even the chickens understand. The sun doesn't rise as a favor, it just comes, easy as breath. Abundance is small, ancient, ordinary. But even this ordinariness can feel like magic. There is a rhythm to feeding. And to waiting, to receiving. An old fear says plenty can vanish. That ease is fragile. That one missed morning could bring loss. You notice that ache. The way it tugs at your thoughts like winter pulls at the corners of your house. But then you see. The chickens aren't worried about what they don't have yet. They are here, now, stepping into whatever the day gives, soft feet on frozen earth. Eyes bright with remembering. Let it soften here. It used to feel like real abundance had to be loud, ecstatic, covered in gold. But this morning, you feel how whispering prosperity arrives, grain by grain, in the rituals that no one sees, the offerings that no one measures but you pour, they gather, you wait, and in the waiting, the fear dissolves a little. You recognize the old loop of never enough, the shadow that follows effort, the myth that worth is measured only by excess. Underneath, you sense some part of you knows better. Even if the knowing is quiet, even if you drift, this still lands. There are days when feeding them feels like more than a chore. It feels like time itself is winding around you, showing you something you forgot. You remember hands. Maybe long ago, doing this same work, people who cared for creatures, gardens, small hopes, and how nothing grand lasted without these hidden, living cycles. Desire flickers through you, wanting ease, wanting more. Sometimes wanting to not want so much. You notice the longing to belong, to prosper quietly, softly, without force, just as the hens wait and accept, neither grabbing nor shrinking from what is theirs some mornings. The wind is sharper than you hoped, and you wish you could retreat inside. But there's no rush. Your body settles into the cold, finds breath beneath the ache, notices the way life goes on in spite of your worries. You watch the chickens. Ordinary and miraculous, pecking, fluffing, clucking in gratitude that doesn't need words. You see how life feeds them, again and again, in cycles. Nothing is owed, nothing is wasted. Each morning, an echo of the one before, quietly declaring, "You are meant to be cared for." Let this echo memory drifts in, of other small cycles. The cup of warm coffee handed to you when you were tired, the way you tucked a note into someone's lunch, the steady beat of your heart when you thought it might break. You see how repeating these small acts, again and again, is wealth in its truest form. There is still an ache under the surface, a tiny fear that goodness will run out. Yet the rituals teach otherwise. The act of returning, of honoring what is right here, softens what once felt hard. Binds wounds the mind can't reach. It's safe now. The air grows a little warmer as the sun lifts. Paint on the coupe glows, imperfect but still standing. Grain runs out for today. But you promise to return. Something in you trusts the promise, the ordinariness of it, the enoughness that cannot be counted, only kept. Sometimes you ache for miracles, for something that changes everything in an instant. But the miracle is in these small, quiet cycles, feeding, tending, returning, being met by life again and again. Even when you're weary, let it soften here. The chickens don't ask who you are when you bring the grain. They don't question if you're worthy today. They respond not to the size of your offering, but to the regularity, the gentle routine. The slow trust that builds in the shared morning air. You breathe into the cold, the ache loosening from your lungs, the loop of scarcity dissolving. Just for these few minutes, you witness the remembered truth. Abundance does not arrive as a flood, but as a steady stream, as the next breath, as the next dawn, as the next handful of grain. Even if you drift, this still lands in the quiet that follows. You know there is nothing more to prove. You are participant and recipient, giver and receiver, student and ancient caretaker. The old stories of lack grow quieter amidst the shuffle and cluck of simple gratitude. The ache softens. The desire becomes gentle. The fear is met and companioned, not fought. Here, with the world waking around you, the small cycle closed for another day, you see that even this soft prosperity is enough. Even this is part of the remembering. There's a part of you that remembers, standing in the gentle hush of morning, when the world feels clear, and even the stones beneath your feet seem to breathe. In the quiet, you notice the little things, the fallen petals, the soft dust, a twig out of place. Nothing is wrong here. Nothing is broken. You're simply here, seeing what wants to be seen, letting your hands move, just enough to feel the sweet, simple peace of clearing what you don't need. You've been taught that every piece of clutter inside you means something, as if each old hurt or memory has to be carried, fixed, figured out. But what if the path just wants to be swept because it feels better under your bare feet? What if this isn't about fixing anything? Sometimes the ache inside is just a voice longing for fresh air, for more room to breathe. Even now, as you notice this space inside you, a little patch of softness, maybe lighter than you expected, you don't need to hold it. Let this echo. It gets easy to forget, surrounded by old thoughts, by stories that gather like leaves after the rain. You might wonder if letting go means losing part of yourself, but watch the wind, how it moves loose things along, clearing the stones without trying so hard. Your inner life isn't a puzzle. You don't need to collect every scattered piece. You can let some float away. You can let the old dust rest. Let the breeze do what it does best. Even if you drift, this still lands. There are patterns that return, like footsteps in powdery sand. Old habits, familiar feelings, the way fear sometimes circles around hope. You might think you have to solve it, that every returning ache needs untangling. Tonight you get to ask, who am I beyond what I keep? Who could I be if I let the unnecessary float away? Maybe you notice the coolness of stone under your hands, the sound of breath, slow and kind, moving through old spaces, letting it soften here. The world keeps spinning, season after season, and nothing clings forever. Even the hardest memory loosens when the sun shifts or the rain falls. You can clear your path not from need, but from love, because spaciousness feels gentle, not because emptiness is scary. Even this is part of the remembering. In the quiet kitchen, when the house is folding itself into a darker hush than day, your hands are in the warm water, suds gathering, catching the light from a single bulb above the sink, and outside, it's raining, that slow, steady kind you only notice when everything else pauses. There's a pulse in moments like this, isn't there? Over and over, washing the bowl, circling the rim with your palm, feeling the shape that remembers every meal, every hunger, every invitation that ever softened your heart. Repetition is not monotony. Repetition is how life finds its rhythm, breath after breath, dish after dish, each cycle erasing and etching, washing away and bringing back. It's safe now, rain on the rooftop, rain against glass, each drop the same and never identical. The sound builds a blanket, repeating itself with newness inside each echo you listen. The bowls clink, your wrist flicks the water away, and you know this. The gentlest acts are sometimes the strongest spells. The way you come back to the same motions, the same nested questions. Could I be softer tonight? Is there anything left to forgive in me? Why does this ache feel older than my name? In the repetition, something opens. The ache turns into a doorway you can walk through, again and again, until your steps become a kind of prayer. Let this echo. The rain is a memory. The rain is the world right now. You know storms aren't solved. They are lived through, welcomed, allowed to wash over and around and away the tiredness that's been too heavy to set down. You aren't asked to resolve the rain, only to watch it, let it soak in. Let it clean what was ready to go. Your hands in the dishwater. Remember mornings before you ever worried about enoughness. The soap slips to quiet, repeat, rinse, restore. Even when you circle back to where you began, you are changed. The bowl is changed. The water is never the same twice. Even this is part of the remembering. Every night offers a chance to begin again, not because you failed, but because that's what night was made for. The dark, the rain, the hush, and the steady repetition of your own steady heart. You do not have to invent new hope. Letting what is simple come around again and again is its own trust, its own magic. Sometimes you listen to your footsteps on tile, or the way your shoulders lower, the soft rhythm of muscle, of fatigue, of ease trying to find its way home, and you realize, even old fears become softer when you hold them with gentle hands. Let it soften here. Again, the bowl meets the palm. The cloth meets the rim. The world turns inside your cupped hands, and everything unwinds, a fraction at a time, in this small ritual. You breathe. You listen to the rain in its tireless repetition. You begin to trust that what comes again and again is not a mistake, but a gentle teacher in disguise. Even if you drift, this still lands. There are old words that used to feel heavy, not enough, too late, always behind, but the rain never doubts its timing. The rain does not believe in scarcity. It arrives as if it's welcome. Even on empty ground, your breath rises and falls again, and you notice some things are rewritten by simply arriving as you are. No rush to fix or force or strive. Let this echo. The memories you washed tonight, of dinners, of laughter, of silences that stretched but never broke you, they become tiny healings as you watch the water run clear. The world outside the window is softened, smudged, every color made thick by the rain. Inside, the repetition is your own, gentle, present, never punished for beginning again. What if remembering was always gentle? What if nothing was lost when you circled back, needing softness, needing rest, needing every repetition to cleanse a little more of the ache? Even this is part of the remembering. Night will come and go, the kitchen will fill and empty, bowls will pile up and be washed, the rain might stop, clouds move on, leaves shine with what is left behind. You are not meant to be cleansed in a single night. Healing is the hum of slow, loving repetitions. Let it soften here. Sometimes, in the lull between storms, your reflection shows up in the darkened window, a face made gentle by exhaustion, illuminated by kindness. You are not the sum of what's been washed away, but the one whose hands honor every cycle, every spiral, every forgotten or repeated sorrow, is invited back to the hearth of your own heart tonight. Even if you drift, this still lands. There are patterns in the water, loops in your thinking, stories that return even when you wish they'd gone. They come softer in the night, in the ritual, in the repetition. The rain keeps falling. You keep listening for something you don't need to name. The memory of persistence, the hope you didn't mean to keep, the beauty in never giving up on softness. Let this echo tomorrow, another bowl, another rain, another chance to arrive gently for yourself. Nothing must be perfect. Nothing must last untouched. Repetition is sacred because it allows change without punishment. It gives the old ache a home so it stops running in circles. With every repetition, you invite ease. With every bowl washed, every rain observed, you remind your whole self. I am allowed to heal at my pace. It's safe now. The night is getting deeper. The world is wrapped in sounds you know by heart. The rhythm of washing, the rhythm of rain, the rhythm of the thoughts you've returned to, long enough for them to become soft, less frightening, almost safe enough to sleep beside. Let it soften here. Your bowl is clean. The rain still falls. You have repeated yourself one more time into gentleness. And even if the ache returns tomorrow, so will you. Let this echo. There is a place underneath all the chasing, where nothing more needs to be earned or explained in the quiet. Something deep remembers that wealth was never made by gripping tighter, by making yourself smaller, or by carrying old ledgers of what you owe and what you prove. Maybe that matters. Because it means this tiredness in your bones isn't a sign you're behind, but a signal calling you home to stillness. Like the hush before the morning opens the skies, like the way a pond holds the same moon every night without asking for it again, like how your favorite sweater holds warmth. Even when you forget it's on you, let it soften here. You were never meant to gather worth by gathering need. The more you measure, the farther the finish line moves that aches, because proving your value is a hunger that never fills. But in the gentle quiet, even empty hands are enough. Like fresh bread breaking between friends, like rain falling, not to convince the grass, but just because it's time, like the way a child trusts someone will catch them. Simply because that's the game, you don't have to hold it. There's truth in the way abundance pulses just beneath the noise. It matters. Because if you let your body rest, you'll feel it, a soft rush, an ease, a belonging that isn't forced or rushed. Like a breeze slipping through an open window at dusk, like the ocean's patience, touching every shore without a plan, like the light under your door at night, always waiting, never asking for proof you belong. It's safe now. What happens if you let the ledger go, even for tonight? You might find that what's yours can't run away, that the quiet counts too. Like a garden you stopped checking on, growing wild and gentle anyway, like laughter that surprises you, long after sorrow left the room, like the feeling of your own heartbeat slowing because you're finally home. Even this is part of the remembering. The quiet of evening is softer when your hands are busy in the simplest way, folding laundry, shirts and towels, the small ritual of order. There's a hush between each fold, as if the fabric remembers each life it's brushed against, each day it caught your skin. There's an old truth here. Nothing ordinary is ever wasted. Not the minutes, not the movements, not even the past you felt tangled up inside of. This matters in places the mind can't always reach, because healing old money wounds often happens in these small, unnoticed moments. The gentle rhythm, lifting a shirt, smoothing a line, matching socks you thought were lost quietly undoes stories of lack, of not enough, of holding too tightly. There is grace in making order out of yesterday's chaos. There is a soft kind of hope whenever you touch what has carried you through ordinary days, like sunlight on worn cotton, finding every thread like a drawer finally closing, all its contents resting just right, like the hum of a wash cycle promising a new beginning, unnoticed by the world, but deeply felt within. Let it soften here. Even this is part of the remembering. There's an old ache that can rise with these chores. Maybe you remember voices, anxious, urgent, shaming, voices that made it seem like comfort had to be earned, or pleasure was only for those who did more, tried harder, saved better. Sometimes folding laundry is folding memories. Memories of hand-me-downs, or sparing, or watching someone count coins in the other room, while pretending you couldn't see. It matters because wealth remembrance isn't loud work. It's made of these little moments where you let the body know. The safety is here now. That sameness, that gentle repetition, rewrites the script. In the folding, you become the caretaker of your own experience. Like two socks, always finding their way back to each other. Like rain smoothing out the dust left on a windowsill, like a childhood shirt. Survived and softened by every wash. You don't need to hold it. Let this echo. Even if you drift, this still lands. There are beliefs hidden in muscle memory, tucked away like clothes in a drawer, patterns that say, money is hard. Worth is earned, or rest is for later. You are allowed right now to feel all that, and you are allowed to feel it quietly leaving, like exhale. It matters because the body listens long before the mind ever catches up. When you slow down, touch each towel like it's a promise, you are teaching every cell that you can make order. You can create gentle wealth where there was once only want, like the feeling of warm laundry against your chest. Holding you in the present, like the steady folding of corners, making space where things once felt too crowded, like the moment you lift a pillowcase to your face. And all the old stories dissolve into now. Let it soften here. You don't need to hold it. Even this is part of the remembering. Abundance slips in quietly, in places you wouldn't think to look, not with grand gestures, but with every soft repetition. Every folded shirt, every matched sock is a way of saying, I am here, I make order, I cultivate comfort. Even when the past says otherwise, your present movements are seeds of wealth, and that's why it matters, because the way you move, even with no one watching, is a quiet declaration of worth. These rhythms become your inheritance, the birthright to be soothed, the right to feel wealthy in simple rituals. Your hands now are undoing old knots, like a garden that flourishes even after a harsh winter, like the gentle breath before the dawn stretches open, like the comfort of sheets smoothed flat, even when the world outside stays tangled. It's safe now. Let this echo. Even this is part of the remembering. There's a truth beneath every gentle offering, Wholeness isn't made to impress or convince or beg someone to see how ripe it is. It just is full, round, ready. And in this place, giving becomes a ceremony, not an exchange, just a quiet celebration of enough. This matters because your hands weren't meant to hold out what you don't have. Your heart was never designed to chase after approval. Your soul does not bargain with longing. The shrine inside you isn't for show. It's the steady, golden plateau where what you offer becomes true nourishment. No more, no less. Like placing summer peaches on a windowsill for the sunlight, like the gentle thud of apples falling in a hidden orchard, like honey made by bees who never rush their work. It's safe now. There is a presence that grows when you give from everything, not emptiness. It changes the air, sweetens it. A subtle weightlessness arrives. A wholeness is simple. There's nothing to collect, nothing to prove. And so each act, each gift, each smile or moment is received as something complete, not because anyone asked, but because it needed to be given. This is how hearts trust themselves again, by remembering over and over. You only offer what's already grown within. Like the hush of rain on a garden after drought, like the moon rising full in its uncomplicated light, like a friend showing up quietly, arms open, asking nothing but time. Let this echo. You do not give from your hope that you will be chosen. You offer from the certainty that you belong. Hope has its own gentle ache, but wholeness is a grounded, wordless knowing, an ancient root. This is soul memory, how the earth teaches trees to drop their ripe fruit even if no one is watching. This is why your giving matters most when no one sees, when it's not performance but presence. You are not waiting to be accepted. You already are, like the way morning carries the scent of lilies and wet earth, like the steady warmth behind your ribs on a cold evening, like the sand sifting through your hands while the tide returns. Always. You don't need to hold it. Overflow is the result, not the goal. It's the soft evidence that wholeness cannot help but spill into the world. Real overflow is never forced or fabricated. It happens in the open silence when nothing is missing, when you are quiet enough to feel the fullness behind every word and gesture. It matters because this is how you remember who you are, by tasting the fruit you've grown, by trusting the sweetness, by placing something real at the shrine of your life, and then watching the world soften, not because you tried to fill it, but because you offered what was already real. Like singing to yourself before sleep, letting the day unravel, like ripples moving from the stone you never noticed dropping, like the quiet security of a door left open for someone you love. Even this is part of the remembering. There's a certain velvet hush in the room tonight, a kind of gentle undoing that whispers through the walls, out beyond the window, and into the wide, blue dark. It almost feels like the wind remembers every story it's ever carried. Every ache, every longing to get somewhere faster. Maybe you've known that kind of ache. The urge that tightens the chest, speeds the thought, insists that something must be done now, now, now. Sometimes it's a silent engine running, quiet but constant. Sometimes it's a full sprint. But what if just for tonight, it's allowed to idle, to drift, like a car on a country road going nowhere special, headlights painting soft gold on the grass. Even if you don't remember the beginning, your body does. The ache to outrun the sun, the storm of wanting, the hum beneath the skin. For all those times urgency felt like safety or proof, just let it loosen now. With every slow breath, feel the tangle unravel a little more. Sometimes all that's needed is permission to ease. It's safe now. Under moonlight, time slows. The river finds its own pace, pebbles singing under the surface, a music that isn't hurried. It moves because there's nowhere else to be, because this is enough. Maybe you too are meant to remember this unrushing way, the rhythm of moss, the hush of pine needles falling. Even the ocean, endless and old, comes and goes on its own time. Remember the old myth that worth was measured in miles, how far you could go, how much you could do in a single breath. It's gentle to notice now how small and untrue that story was. Here in this softest hour, you can drop every tally and timeline. There is no finish line, there are only returns. Like dusk returning as night, bloom folding into root. Nothing to chase, nothing lost. Nothing that cannot come again in its own season. You don't need to hold it in some old room within you. Urgency was never a villain, just a small flame trying to protect you from missing your life, from falling behind, and from not being enough. But now, as the air thickens with rest, perhaps you notice that life keeps circling back, in spirals, in laughter, in quiet arrivals. What if there was never anywhere to arrive? What if pace was never the price of prosperity, but the proof of it? It's strange, isn't it? How stillness can feel like freedom some days and like a cage on others. But under the weight of blankets and the hush of night, it's easier to trust that everything, even waiting, belongs. The trees outside don't rush to leaf. The tides never hurry their pull. Even creation chose to unfold over time, not in a single shuddering instant. So maybe tonight you can find a sweetness in the slow. Let this echo close your eyes and picture what it would be like to believe, truly believe, that your value isn't held hostage by speed. Imagine a pace that feels kind to your system, the pace of honey sliding, of day growing, of seeds settling in dark earth until they're called by warmth. There is nothing more abundant than a process trusted enough to take its time. The soil does not beg the seed to sprout. The sun does not lecture the grass to grow tall. It all happens as it must. Even this is part of the remembering. Remember the old road, the one you walked or imagined or dreamed, where the destination kept changing. Where the scenery passed by in patches and pieces, and you were never quite sure if you'd missed the right turn. Now, allow that feeling of searching to soften. Let it become a background hum, not a call to action. There are no wrong turns. There is no late arrival. Even the missed exits brought you somewhere you never would have stood otherwise. All the rushing, all the running, all the stretching forward, they soften now, like footprints erased by the next tide. Your worth was never in the distance covered. It's always been in the way you belong right here, unmoving and enough. Let it soften here. Remember too the moments when your own breath raced, when your heart pounded for reasons you couldn't name. The body carries old stories, some older than memory, stories about urgency as a shield, about running as rescue. Tonight, under this gentle weight of being, the body can lay down its armor. Softness isn't a risk, it's a return. A trust isn't a test, it's a river to float down, eyes heavy, knowing you'll be carried. Let yourself be carried. The night carries you. The world is still turning, with or without you pushing. The moon does not need you to chase it. The stars are patient as dust. Abundance is a language of patience, of letting what wishes to come, come, of letting what's gone rest, of letting what aches soften into something tender and true. Even if you drift, this still lands, so let this night cradle the pieces of you that hurried and hustled. Let them rest in the quiet center. Imagine a fire low and blue, barely alive but burning slow, safe, steady, needing nothing from you but presence. Sometimes the richest kind of living is the gentlest, the slowest, the most unremarkable by old standards. There is a wealth in waiting, a prosperity in patience, a freedom in not forcing anything to unfold before it's ready. And can you trust this slowness? The kind of richness that accumulates without you noticing, that pools and shimmers while you dream. Tonight, you are allowed to pause. You are allowed to have always been enough, no matter the pace, no matter the path. It's safe now, as you move further into the night, feel how the body unwinds, how the heart grows light. Even if tomorrow brings new errands, new desires, tonight you are free from destinations. There is nowhere to go but here, nowhere to be but now. Like the wind moving through open fields, sometimes fast, sometimes almost still, your journey belongs to you. The sky is rich either way. Let this echo one more time. When the dreams come, let them carry the new old knowing. Prosperity is not found in the chase, but in the returning. Not in speed, but in trust. Not in having, but in being. The one who can breathe easy, who can rest, who can let go of arrival and simply belong. You don't need to remember this by morning. Your body already has. Picture yourself in the soft glow of early morning, where golden grass sways gently around you. The air here is quiet, warm. You can feel it wrapping itself around your shoulders, a hush that calms the thoughts spinning in your chest. Each blade of grass moves like memory, an old ache brushing past, a secret you never spoke, and yet every whisper from the field feels like forgiveness, like release. You take a slow breath and feel it settle deep. The ground under you is steady. You let yourself rest. Here, you do not owe anyone anything, not a word, not a promise, not even explanation. There is a sense, just beyond knowing, that every unsent letter, every wish you tucked away is received here, somehow safe. The warmth moves through you, loosening the pieces that once felt stuck. You feel seen by the space itself, known by the gentle sway of what lives and moves around you. All that could not be said is honored by the breeze, trusted to the land that never asks you to prove, only to be. It's safe now. I am worthy of love, even in silence. I am worthy of love, even in silence. What I do not finish in words, life honors anyway. What I do not finish in words, life honors anyway. My value is held in presence. Not proof. My value is held in presence, not proof. Healing happens softly. Beneath what I can see, healing happens softly. Beneath what I can see, letting go is not losing. It is remembering. Letting go is not losing. It is remembering. My softness is a strength, always. My softness is a strength. Always, receiving is safe. Receiving is safe. Receiving is safe. Welcome back to the Abundance Alchemist, your quiet space to remember who you are. Tonight we speak gently about fullness blooming in nighttime solitude, not as a lesson to learn, but as something your soul already carries. What if you've never truly been broken? What if your softness was always your power? What if this ache has always been an invitation? This moment in the hush of night. You turn to the page, of pen in hand, thoughts moving slowly through the half-light. There is no one to edit your ache, no chorus to echo or judge the way your fullness sits, quietly. Waiting to be seen, there is just you, and a moonlit kind of honesty that only comes when the world is quiet. Sometimes, it feels like fullness is something you have to justify. Maybe you learn to tuck it away. Keep it small out of kindness for others, or out of habit from nights when you thought loneliness was proof of not enough. But what if the fullness inside, aching to bloom, was never the problem? Let it soften here, the gentle curve of your own longing, the way your chest expands as you breathe into night. It's all part of the story you've always told, underneath words. Underneath masks, Those private midnight pages are just rooms in your house, places where you sit with yourself and remember even in silence. You are in conversation with something deep and immeasurable. What if every secret thought, every sentence you've ever written in solitude, is a quiet garden, maybe, in these moments? You're learning that fullness doesn't need an audience. The moon knows how to pull the tide whether or not anyone is watching. You don't need to hold it. Notice how solitude changes under moonlight, how it isn't emptiness, but a gentle pressure growing flowers in the dark, how writing your heart out where no one sees is both a form of blooming and release. Even this is part of the remembering. There's a hush that happens when the world lets go, when the sky folds itself in quiet blue and the ordinary aches begin to dissolve. Each evening asks the same soft question: what will you remember from today? Beneath every worry and every rush, there is something gentle waiting. It's the rhythm of your breath, the weightless hush in your chest just before sleep finds you. So many nights are spent replaying, rehearsing, holding. But tonight, here with me, you are allowed to put it all down, not because you finished it and not because you solved it, but because you are already carrying something softer, something older than fear. It's so quiet you almost miss it. It's yours. Every moment you notice your own breathing, you're earning a kind of wealth that can't be taken. No matter how loud the day was, your softness remains, as present as the moon on a cloudy night, still shining even if you can't quite see it. It's safe now. The treasure of presence isn't something you win by working or proving. It's a remembering. Each time you touch this stillness, each time you let a single thought drift away, you build a richness that stays with you. It changes nothing and everything all at once. It hums below the surface of things, patiently waiting for you to notice. Let this echo. You don't need to be soft for the world, only soft with yourself, especially when the old stories want to tighten around your heart. Tonight you are covered in silent blessings. The universe counts them, one by one, with each gentle breath you take. With every soft landing of thought, every moment your body knows it is enough. You don't need to hold it. Even this is part of the remembering.